I'm Ilyce and welcome back to ExpertRealEstateTips.net. I'm here with Marianne Cusato. She's the author of a great book called Get Your House Right, which has all kinds of architectural elements in it and talks about how to make sure that the architectural elements work in the house so it looks and feels authentic. Marianne, when you're working with people, what are some common mistakes that you see them make about the design of their homes?
I would say the biggest mistake is thinking of a house as a checklist of items. Thinking of it as, we'll do the granite counters, this is where the plasma TV goes, this is the checklist, and only square footage and only this. When you think about anything in terms of line items, you lose the whole. So the best thing to do when you're designing a house is definitely think about the things you want in it, but also think about how those things work together.
Marianne, what's the second mistake that people make when they're building or renovating their houses?
Feeling like they have to do everything. Very few of us have a completely unlimited budget. So it's a matter of doing a hierarchy of what really matters to us. And when we really look at our homes, so often there's a lot of square footage that we never go into. We don't actually, if you talk to people, we find that they don't actually live in most of their homes. So it's a matter of finding the things that really do matter and making those really nice. So many people don't use the formal dining room or living room anymore.
Right, I was going to say living rooms have just sort of evaporated into a family room.
And exactly, and the living room that is built would be so small in some cases that it's just there to be on a checklist.
Right.
Don't worry about feeling like you have to design a house for resale, design a house for what you really want to live in. And in the end, you'll probably sell it faster.
So you should really think about how you live in your house. And this is how I designed my kitchen. My husband, who's so smart, was all about, let's talk about how you cook. You're a messy cook. You like to have everything out in front of you. You don't clean up as you go along. It's just, we have to have enough countertop for you to do that. And then you'll be happy. And he was right. And so in our kitchen, we designed a huge sort of L-shaped countertop because that's how I live. So to your point exactly, I'd be really unhappy with my kitchen otherwise.
Exactly, and I think there are a lot of people that really buy a house because they're nervous about reselling it and live in a house that they don't want. And the number of people that are living in homes only because they're worried about reselling it makes you wonder sort of if all of those people actually started talking, they probably would all want the same things anyway. And so if we just started designing homes that were really practical for how we live as, in today's society, probably there'd be a pretty big market for it.
That's a good concept. All right, third mistake. Anything else people should really watch out for?
Yeah, I think that really, it comes down to thinking about what was the origin of elements. We've talked a little bit about shutters in the past about how they don't cover a window, but it's looking back to where things came from, the origin of moldings, to understand what its purpose was. And when we don't know what it was used for, then it's just a profile and it's something that's glued on. And that's when you look at a building and you say, it doesn't quite feel right. It's because it has no purpose. And when you look back at really nice, beautiful old buildings, a lot of them are quirky and don't follow all the rules, but there's usually a kernel there of necessity in terms of meeting functional uses through design. And that's something that if we look back at how things used to be, it really makes a difference in applying that to make it something that becomes timeless for the future.
So taking something functional but making it beautiful.
Exactly, and it's not about nostalgia, and it's not about kitsch. It's about really looking at purpose. Lintels that are so long on a lot of these houses that could never stand up. Yet you have little bricks sort of lined up. We all sort of know that there's a hidden structure in there. The general public isn't going to have all the words to articulate it, but they are going to be able to say something feels wrong. It's like listening to a song that's out of tune. I can't sing, but I can hear if something's out of tune. And with architecture, the general public, we can't always necessarily put our finger on what's wrong, but when something doesn't relate back to practical common sense, we feel that it's wrong. And that's why so many new buildings feel wrong. And it's just a matter of, we all know architecture is the language, we all know the vocabulary, which is the elements, the doors, the windows, the eaves, but we've lost the grammar. And when the grammar is used in nonsense sentences, that's when you get most of what's built today.
That's good. Marianne, thank you so much. Thank you. Marianne is the author of Get Your House Right, and for more of her tips, visit my website, expertrealestatetips.net.